Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I am the tarantula dude, but you can call me Andy. I have two species here today that I'm going to try to show you. One of them I for sure know that I will probably be able to show you because I usually know where he's at. The second one, however, I've been keeping in this little deli cup because of how small they are. This is the cube that I originally was going to give them, but after I unboxed them, which actually was on Halloween, I realized very quickly that this little guy is way too small to be putting in there because I would never find him ever again. So this one, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you. I will at least show you what I have set up for it. I used to know where its burrow was when I had it in a little vial, but it was getting really hard to keep things okay in there because, you know, moisture and mold. I'm a very new keeper. I am still learning things, so I figured it'd be safer to just replace the soil, put the baby in a new enclosure, which I chose a deli cup. I thought that would be fitting for the time being, and called it good. I also have a third enclosure over here. Sadly, there is nothing in it yet, but it is here because we are getting 3 new species, hopefully before Christmas. And one of them is arboreal, 2 of them are terrestrial. One of them will be going in here. The other one is going to be coming as a package from Fear Not Tarantulas, so that will already have an enclosure. And the arboreal enclosure is on its way currently from Tarantula Cribs, so we are waiting on those before we place our order. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start with Jerry. Some of you who have watched my previous unboxing video or some of my shorts may already be familiar with Jerry, but it's been a while since I've made a formal video that has had any of my species in it, let alone Mr. Jerry. If it's Mr. I'm not going to assume, but this is the enclosure that we first started with. This is what we had in that very first video that I made when I brought Jerry home. And this is what I am keeping him in currently. He has only molted once, but I did notice that he sometimes at night likes to wander around, so granted, he does not need this much size by any means. I just decided to give that to him because that was my personal preference. Not that it's going to hurt him at all. He still gets his food just fine because I give it directly to him. I don't just throw it in there. I make sure that I use a tong and I give it right to him because Jerry is a very skittish tarantula. He prefers not to be encountered by a human being at all costs, so getting decent pictures or videos or anything of him is almost like pulling teeth. But there are the rare occasions that it happens. You can see his little button there. That's his little cubone skull that I got him for Halloween. Unfortunately, it came a little bit after Halloween, but nonetheless, we still have it. And this is his little setup. We have his water dish in the back. I put some moss over here just for kind of a little bit of a humid corner because he does like to spend a lot of time over by the water dish. I added some extra plants because Jerry absolutely loves laying on the plants. This little leaf that's over here, he actually has a little burrow going underneath it. You can kind of see it there. And if he's not in his skull, he's usually under that leaf, either that or he'll be on the other side of the skull in between those 2 plants there. So I pretty much know where this guy is at all times. He did molt one time. Luckily for you guys, I did bring this with me, and his last molt was on September 25th of this year, so shortly after I got him. And I really don't want to open this up. I don't want to expose it to air, but you can kind of see it in there. I have it sitting there protected to the best of my ability, and I have had this since he molted. I've been keeping this safe. He is a slow grower, so I am assuming that he's not going to molt again for a decent amount of time. It took, I want to say, about a month and a half. I want to say roughly, don't quote me on that, but I'm assuming that I have my time span right. I think that is how long it took him to molt after I got him, and there is no way of knowing when his last molt was before that, so I'm not going to be hopeful of another molt for at least another month, give or take, maybe longer than that. These guys, they do not grow very fast at all, and that's simply just because of the length of their average lifespan. Don't quote me, I haven't looked at my notebook with my notes for a while, but I do believe that they can live at least 10 years. I'm not gonna give an exact number just because I don't fully remember and I don't want to give the wrong answer. But if you guys are curious, you can go ahead and do some research for yourself. He is a Brachypelma Albiceps, or a golden red rump, and he is one of the most docile arachnids that I have ever encountered in my life. Other than the fact that he is very bolty, but I can work with that. That's okay. He has anxiety. I get it. Me too. We're going to move on to Ghost. Now, Ghost is a Cyriocosmus Leetzi, or a Colombian dwarf tiger, also known as a Venezuelan dwarf beauty. These guys, because they are a dwarf species, they typically don't exceed 3 to 3.5 inches in leg span. So when they arrive, they are extremely tiny. And this is the enclosure that I have set up for him. I made sure that I put plenty of hiding spaces, and I will be honest with you, if he is in there, as of right now, it will most likely be impossible to see him. He does prefer to burrow. He is a species that likes to web, so he'll have a hole, obviously, that he goes into, which I think, yeah, I'm not sure where. That's his little cricket there. I always give him pre-killed. You know, I'm not 100% certain. I do see some old food that I need to take out, though. So I will be right back after I take out the old food. Okay, now that I have that taken care of, now we can see if we might be able to figure out where this guy is. I don't like bothering him a ton, so we will see what I can do here. A lot of times he'll be underneath the moss, so I will just gently lift up some of the moss and see if I see any movement. I can't promise he'll be underneath there. I don't know if we're gonna find him. Gosh, I feel so bad. I don't like bothering him. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna find him, guys. I'm gonna stop messing with his enclosure, but I will put in a picture of what Cyriocosmus Leetzi slings typically look like. This is the enclosure that I originally had set up. This is a 3x3x3 cube, and it's originally a sling enclosure, so I was like, oh, bet, and then I saw his size. So just because it's a sling enclosure doesn't mean that it's suitable for every sling, so just be aware of that. I definitely did not take that into consideration when I ordered these and when I ordered this dude, so don't make the mistake I did. I don't know if this would have been suitable in the first place, though, because realistically, he likes to dig straight down, as I've noticed, and that kind of goes in at an angle. So I might have to revise that when he does molt a few times and when he does get bigger. But I tried to make sure that there was surface area for him to web on, because I know that they like to web around their enclosure, so I made sure that it would have that ability. And then I have the moss in the back. And just because of the size of this tarantula, I figured I could just put a water dish in there at a later time, because it's going to be a long time until that tarantula goes in there, because this is just size comparison. This deli cup would fit inside of this cube if it wasn't for the cork. So it definitely has a lot of growing to do, because we can't even find the tarantula in here. So that will wait. Now, this one here is for a terrestrial species. I did mention it a little bit before, but we're gonna talk a little bit more about it more in depth. So this enclosure here is gonna be for a Davis pentaloris. They are a freebie that we'll be getting with our order from Fear Not Tarantulas. We are also ordering a Carabina versicolor, and we are ordering a Brachypelma hamori. So the Brachypelma, sorry, my grammar is not the best pronunciation. The Brachypelma hamori is going to be the one that comes as a package. So that one is going to have its own enclosure that it comes with. I won't need to provide one at all for that until it gets bigger. And the Carabina versicolor, we do have a treehouse mini that is on the way from Tarantula Cribs. If you don't know what that is, it is a new enclosure that they recently created. And it is actually for arboreal slings. The top comes off and so does the front. It's really amazing. You should check it out if you're looking for a enclosure for an arboreal sling and you just can't seem to find one that you think will work best. You can always go look at that. They're only about $16 before tax and of course before shipping. So they're very affordable and I'm very excited to try it out. And as you can see, I also really like ordering enclosures from Tarantula Cribs in general. I would highly recommend checking them out. They have really great customer service. If something is wrong with your order, all you really have to do is, I suppose, just provide proof. Like if you can take a picture and include it in an email to them and provide them with your order number, and they will do their best to resolve the issue with you in the best way that they can. But yeah, those are the spoods that we have right now. Sadly, there's only 2, but as I said before, there's more coming. And we have Jerry still down there, still in the burrow, but that is where he prefers to be. So apparently he really likes that hide. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, if you haven't watched my unboxing video of when I brought Jerry home, I highly recommend that you go watch that, because that is just kind of proof that somebody who is terrified of spiders in general can overcome their fear. And now look at me. I have a dwarf species that is so small that it just basically vanishes, and it freaks me out every time because I have no clue where it is, but I'm just praying to God that it's in there. But subconsciously, I know it's in there, but there's always the what ifs, you know? And now I have another one that I'm ordering that's about the same size as Jerry. They both get rather large when they're grown up, and we're getting 2 more on top of that. See, it's possible. So go watch that if you haven't already and if you're interested in that. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!